Hi everyone, happy Sunday. And here we are in the second video of 4 of the series on the afterlife. And today we're going to be discussing heaven and hell. Before we get started, I want to address that I understand that this issue is a hot topic for a lot of people. My intention for this video is to share I want to share my experiences. I want to share the hundreds of readings that I've done and the information and the lessons that Spirit has taught me, your loved ones perhaps even, that helped me to understand more about the afterlife and heaven and hell. Now, I was raised Catholic, and as a Catholic, I was definitely raised with the concepts of both heaven and hell and why some people would go to heaven being saved by Jesus Christ and why some people wouldn't go to heaven, and the many, many reasons why many on a religious belief wouldn't enter the kingdom of heaven. And I am not here to, good morning, Carmen. Hi, Tammy. And I've got another Tammy. I got 2 Tammys. Hi to both Tammys and to Christy. The idea here is that I am not really wanting to ruffle anyone's feathers. I'm not wanting to shake up your beliefs, but there might be some things from the experiences that I've had that would shake up some of your beliefs. If this is not for you, then this is a good time to turn this video off and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Or if you're watching later on YouTube, to just click this video off and move on, because I want nothing but positivity from the experience here. And I want us to share in positivity. So if this is not something for you, then just recognize it now and it's okay to move on. The intention is not to upset anyone, but I understand sometimes when we have different beliefs and very strong beliefs about things, then information might seem upsetting. So if for some reason discussing heaven and discussing hell and the perceptions that I have on it, the experiences that I have that I'm wanting to share with all of you, if that's not in your comfort zone, or you are going to strongly maybe disagree, then it's okay to turn it off and move on. And I respect everybody else's opinions and beliefs as it relates to their religion. But I do feel that traditional religions have gotten a lot of it wrong. And I don't believe it's just nasty intent by religious leaders or things like that. I just feel like over time things have shifted, or we no longer are carrying some of the truths about heaven and hell. So good morning, Dawn. Thank you for coming in here. And hi, Lynette and Sandra and Melissa. So all of you that are in here, if I've missed anyone, I apologize. Thank you so much for being here. This is very exciting for me to do this and to share my experiences with you. And then I'm totally welcome and open to your comments and your questions. Let's just keep everything loving and positive for everyone involved. Before I get started, I do want to say I still have 4 seats left for my gallery on November 30th, and it's from 7 to 9 p.m. It's a Thursday night for the gallery, and you can go to angelichope.com. It's easy to remember, Angelic Hope, and register for that gallery. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to do it, and it'll be right here live and in Santa Clara. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity yet, please go to my YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube, and in the search engine there on YouTube, type in Leanne Thomas. You'll see a picture of me, and then you can subscribe to my channel, and that way you won't miss the videos that I'm putting out. Put one out yesterday, so I hope you've had a chance to see it. And good morning, Steve. Hi, how are you? I miss your face, Steve. Amy, hi, thanks for coming in and watching. So let's dive in and start getting your questions ready. I've got my notes here. You know how that works for me. I'm going to have a notebook and my notes so that I make sure I cover what I know is to be important. And so here we go. Here's the first thing that I think might shock a lot of people. But everyone can go to heaven. I know that that bothers a lot of people. Hi, Yolanda, and hi, Anne. That it bothers people that everyone can go to heaven. I think there's an innate need in all of us for justice. And trust me, I am going to be talking even in another video about karma and balance and soul paths and things like that. But everyone can go to heaven. We often feel that that's not right or that's not fair. I mean, and to think about it, it bothers me on some level if somebody was a pedophile or a rapist or, someone that hurt children in some way, murderers. Yeah, trust me, they're not going to get away with anything. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Stephanie. No one's going to get away with anything. But for the sake of this video, I want to focus on heaven and hell. And everyone can go. Not everyone does go. There is judgment that happens, but it's not the judgment that we think or that we often hear about in religious sense. So there is a God, and that's part of my beliefs and what I've heard over and over from spirits that are on the other side. That often they'll tell me that they are on the other side and they are with God, which is beautiful. And so there is a God, but there is not a God throwing any of us into a dark, negative, or a place called hell. No one's thrown there or placed there. So everyone can go to heaven. It's a choice that the soul makes, a choice that it resonates with the place that it goes. It chooses to move on and go to heaven. A soul does. Now, some souls had darker or more negative experiences when they were here on earth, meaning they might have been a rapist or a murderer. But at that moment of crossing or at their death, they're given, it's not so much that we're given a choice. We begin to resonate with a need in our soul to move on to where we feel like we fit. Hey, Selena, good morning and welcome. So as we gravitate towards the places that we fit. So let's say heaven, for someone that we would assume didn't deserve or belong in heaven because of their actions here on earth, rapists, murderers, you know what I'm talking about. They have a need in their soul to heal that and seek forgiveness and growth despite the negativity that they caused here on this earth. When a soul desires that growth, desires that connection with God, their soul resonates with the place that we would call heaven. It's a positive place. There's no wars that have ever happened in heaven and things like that we hear some stories about. But these souls that may even have been darker on the earth and their actions would appall all of us, seek this. They seek that sense of forgiveness, the desire to learn, the desire to grow, maybe even start to own that place of what they did wrong. And they experience a life review, which we talked about last week. And from that, there's a growth opportunity and even an opportunity to come back and help those of us still here in the living, which may be even some of their own family members and maybe others. It's just part of their soul path or their soul journey. So no one's thrown away or thrown into a dark place. So, but that doesn't mean, like I said, that people get away with harming others and that there's no consequences for that, because there certainly is. But we often judge ourselves. We place ourselves in a position, even if we've crossed into the light, to want to give back, to heal in some way, to make something right. And it might even be a plan that we put together when we're in heaven for, say, a darker soul, to come back to earth, so to have another life and to then make it better or make it right or come back and do something different. And I know that that's hard for everyone to think, that particularly if you've had some deep trauma in your life where someone's really harmed you, to think that they may be able to go to heaven. But if you wrap your mind around the spiritual lessons that someone may gravitate towards and want healing towards, I think that can resonate well with everyone. And please feel free to start popping in any questions that you may have on this. So everyone can go to heaven, but not everybody does. So why? Why? I mean, it makes sense for some of us, when we have that beautiful grandmother or that loving person in our life that they've crossed and they've made it to heaven. We don't question that. We don't overthink it. But there are some people that don't resonate, so their energy or their vibration doesn't match with the energy of heaven. And so, like I said, all souls have a choice. We choose where we go after we pass. But it's like even our lives here on earth, we tend to go to restaurants, have friends with, live in neighborhoods where we resonate with. We resonate with a certain energy or a vibration. And we go there even in the living. There's some places I don't want to live, and I'm sure there's people that wouldn't want to live in my neighborhood where I live. They don't resonate with it, or I don't resonate to certain areas or neighborhoods. And so it's the same thing with heaven. We end up choosing where we resonate. So if I'm a very deprived soul and I'm not seeking that forgiveness, say like when I was speaking about, like, say, a murderer or somebody that goes to heaven and they're seeking that forgiveness. When we choose darkness, we choose darkness. And there are dark places. It's just not a hell like I feel it's described in religious terms in religious texts, meaning someone puts us there, or God puts people in a hell. So like I said, there's judgment, but not the way we think of it. We judge ourselves. And we see God or we don't. I'm going to answer Yolanda's question. So thank you for posting or a comment here. I'm going to read it. My mother came back from a near death to share she saw God and God is love and God loves me, which is so true. That is very beautiful. And that's mostly what most of us, like most of the population of human beings, wants soul growth. Even if we couldn't find it the way we wanted to in this lifetime. So when we cross, we leave our earthly body and our soul travels to the other dimensions that I explained last week, then there's a choice. We move on to the light, known as heaven, or we move on to a darker place through our connecting to it and our choice, not being thrown there. She turned, and I'm going to finish what Yolanda wrote because it's beautiful. She shared she came back to say her goodbyes and died the next week. Wow, that's so profound. And you must be so at peace, Yolanda, knowing that your mom already knew that she was going to get to experience heaven and with God, and the love that she experienced, that peace. I can't read all of it, so I'm going to push more. Okay. The day she died, she told us she was going, and then she died that evening. What a blessing. Not that you lost your mom, because clearly there's always going to be a space within you that's going to long for her touch and her smell and her words. But certainly the idea here that she went in peace, if she was going to go, that she knew that she was going to have peace with it. So I love that story. Feel free to share your stories and ask your questions. I want to carry on here a little bit with why also some people may choose a darker place. There's so many reasons. So when we pass, we're more complex and we're more complicated than we realize, because our soul has actually experienced many, many lifetimes. And so once we shed our earthly body, then we begin to become more aware that we are bigger than our existence. But very dark or depraved souls tend not to realize that. And who knows why? There's probably so many reasons why someone would be darker that way. Even if you put two people together and they were both murderers, one transitions on to heaven and another stays in a darker place, what we would call hell. So I just don't want to define it as that a hell is a place where we're thrown or put by God. And so if we can get rid of that notion, we can also understand why And in my mind, I always think, why would any soul want to go to a dark place? Why would anyone want to be in a dark place? Well, I don't know. It's not really my job is to discern why everybody does things, but I also wouldn't intentionally ever harm someone. I wouldn't murder someone. I wouldn't rape someone. I don't harm children. I don't know why people do that, or it doesn't make sense to me why people do that in the living. So when they pass, they're taking that energy or that ego consciousness with them and hanging on to it. Someone that crosses into the light lets more of that go. And so those that go to these dark places do because they're desiring more of that kind of energy or experiences. And they often don't cross all the way into dark places. They tend to hang around a little more closer to earth. And they may be interested in people or places that are doing things. If I lost you for a minute, I hope you're all back here with me because it just said that I had to reconnect. So it looks like we're reconnected, I hope. So let me know if you can still see and hear me, or if we had a glitch in the matrix, if you will, with this video. So those who aren't going in some way resonate with going to a dark place. Doesn't make sense to me. It probably doesn't make sense to you. And I want to reiterate, so if you did miss last week's video, please go to YouTube and check it out. It's The Afterlife, Where Are They? And Life Review is the name of that video. And I discussed the planes of existence, and it's dimensional. And because they're no longer in physical, a soul can exist in more dimensions than the 3 or the 4 that we exist in. So they travel to one of those dimensions. Alrighty, so I discussed who goes to heaven. It can be anyone. Any or all souls who are looking to grow and evolve go to heaven. This includes saints and sinners. So we take on life from a perspective, and we're colored by the influences in our life, how we grow up, where we live, our culture, our religion. We're influenced by all of those things. So I want everybody to think about this. What if, think about yourself, you were raised in a completely different culture or religion, completely different. So say you were raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Let's just suppose I wasn't born into a Catholic family, that I was born into a Buddhist family. I would be a great Buddhist. I would embrace the teachings that my family taught me, just like when I was little and I went to catechism and church on Sunday. I mean, I did all of the things that I was supposed to do. That same would be true if I was a Buddhist. So because of my circumstance, is it really fair to say someone that was raised differently or even with different beliefs would be thrown away by God because they didn't believe in a certain way? They didn't believe, say, Jesus Christ was, say, their savior. And there's more non-Christian and non-Christian thinking religions and beliefs in the world. Now, I am a huge fan of, and I do believe that Christ is a way for me to my salvation, if you will. I don't believe it in the way a lot of conventional Christian beliefs do. So I'm not trying to say anything negative about Christianity, because if you've ever been in my home or around me for any period of time, you know what a believer and a fan I am in Christ and the Christ energy helping us move through difficulties in our lives. I have crosses in my home. I have Bibles in my home. I do have a faith that tends in that direction because that's what I was raised with. But I don't believe if someone's raised different from me and has different beliefs, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Buddhist, whether it's Hinduism, that they are less likely to enter the kingdom of heaven. I don't believe that. I believe that we all can enter in, regardless of our faith or our beliefs or what deity we put in our place. It has to do with love. It has to do with caring for not only ourselves but other people, or the desire on the soul level, if we got it wrong here, to go on and move on, to share more love and be different, to evolve from the circumstances that we may have been in the middle of. And who doesn't go to heaven? Those who don't resonate with heaven. It's just as simple as that. They make a choice not to. And sometimes it's very religious people that had a strong belief that Christ was their Savior, but for some reason they maybe didn't feel they lived a good enough life. They don't cross because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of what God may do, so they hang close to the earth plane, or perhaps they do go to more negative places. And so we have to consider that each person's life or their journey through life is going to influence the choices that they make, even when the body dies. And it's a free will choice, even on that soul level. Now, we also have helpers. You know, you have your loved ones that are in spirit that want to help you make your crossing or help you make your transition to heaven and the other side. And it may even be loved ones in spirit that you didn't have a close relationship to in the physical life, a great grandmother. It could be an uncle or an aunt that you weren't close to that's there to help you cross over and transition, along with the angels and along with our guides. But they cannot force any of us, even on a soul level, to make that choice of which direction we go. And I really do think Yolanda's mom had it right. And what a blessing. Yolanda, you should really write that out. Make a little blog, write a book, a children's book, a story. I feel like writing for you, and your mom would love to see you do that. There really is no hell like were described or taught in strict religious terms. I know that may bother some people to hear that, but there just isn't. Now, there are dark places. There are places where darker souls desire or end up going because it's a more of a match for their soul. So, I hope that was helpful. I want to answer any of your questions now, if there are any left, if I didn't cover something or make something clear. But as far as this Afterlife series go, that's my perception, and with all of the hundreds and hundreds of readings that I've given people and seeing people that perhaps didn't deserve to cross into heaven have gone, and even have been into places and homes where I know that there's souls that weren't crossed, that were earthbound souls that were stuck in some way, weren't really dark or demonic individuals. They were beings that had gotten themselves stuck in some way a lot of times because they didn't believe they lived a good life. They were afraid of judgment. So if there's one thing we can do for each other, it's not judge one another, number one, and not judge ourselves. Always do your best. Look at how you can help other people or mankind, or share your loves or your joys. But certainly stop judging ourselves as not being good enough, or for the mistakes that we make. We don't have to punish ourselves forever for it, because we can move on past it. I did want to address one other thing, was the idea that I get a lot of questions about suicide. That it's taught in almost every faith that I can think of, that a suicide is a crime against God in some way. And it isn't necessarily. There's a lot of soul journeys and soul paths. Almost always, it's not part of someone's path to commit suicide and leave this earth before it's their time to go. But we can't rule out in certain cases that perhaps it's someone's life path or journey to do this, and for the loved ones in their life to experience the growth opportunities that could come from a loss that way. I just know it to be very rare. I haven't experienced someone who said that that was their soul path from a suicide experience in the readings that I've given, but I leave open the possibility that that can be a truth. Mostly what they say is that there is love for them on the other side. Mostly what they say is that they found their way to heaven. Most suicides do cross as well. They're not kept out of heaven because they've committed a crime against God. So that's also something interesting. I think I've missed some questions. My thing stopped scrolling. I apologize. I'm new to this. Okay, Dawn asked, does our forgiveness for someone that has done horrible things play a role in their ability to cross into heaven? It can, especially if we have that connection with them before they're crossing. It certainly can. Or upon someone's death, it can help them to move from where they might have kept themselves stuck or earthbound and then made their transition. And I don't really believe that souls are stuck. I mean, I feel like it's a choice that they make. So that's not the same as being stuck. So if a soul's chosen to stay and not make their crossing to the other side, and we forgive them and we talk to their soul and we connect to it, it can definitely help them cross. So 100%. Randy writes, and hi Randy, thank you for being here. I think I resonate with London. I always have. The resonation of where we feel we need to be. Our soul can also have had our past life experiences in a location or a place. It's like that feeling of being home or just loving a place, and you visit it and you just know that you've been there before. Or sometimes we're just drawn to a place, and it can be because of that. And I do hope you move too. I'm putting prayers around that for you, Randy. So blessings with that. That's exciting. Tammy, my brother died suddenly, and I'm always worried whether or not he is in heaven. He was a follower of Jesus, but I believe he was a good person. Think about it this way, Tammy. Why wouldn't he be over there? Why would this fear happen? Is it because of a religious belief or a religious training that you grew up with that would think someone wouldn't go or wouldn't cross? Also know that, let's just say, I'm sure he is, but let's just say he didn't. For whatever reason. And we don't have to be perfect to cross, by the way, like I was saying earlier. But let's just say for some reason that he didn't. That would still be part of his soul's journey or his soul's path. And all you have to do in support of the love of him is to remind him that he's a beautiful soul created by God anyway, and to choose love, whether he's choosing love here in this life or that life. Doesn't that just make sense? You don't need to worry, Tammy. I love it. Thank you, Dawn, for also sharing that love. I love how you guys are so positive. You are welcome, Yolanda. Your mom sounds such a beautiful soul. And Tammy asked, do you believe that my brother Ronnie is in heaven? I absolutely do. I don't feel there would be any reason for him not to make his crossing or to seek that love, which I really feel like he wanted love here in the physical world. Didn't always get it the way he wanted to, but I do feel like that's a reason that he would also want to cross. And then Dawn shares a story about her brother. I love it. Thank you, Randy. You're welcome. You're welcome, Tammy. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you'll be back next week. If you are interested in doing the gallery that I have on November 30th, I still have 4 seats left, and it's kind of a way of trying something like this out and seeing if it's a fit for you, getting a reading or things like that. It's going to be right here, the gallery on November 30th. You sign up on my website, and I hope you'll join us. It's going to be a fun evening of messages, and I always teach a little bit and answer some of your questions about the spirit world while I'm there also. Go to my website and do that. Visit my YouTube channel and please subscribe, because I'm starting out new, and the more people that I have that, subscribing's free, you're not charged anything, it helps other people to find me. Oh, that's a great question. Where does this all come from? All souls were created, I believe, and from the information that I've received from Spirit, all at the same time from God, from our one creator source. There's one creator source. We often use the term God. And from that creator source, we were all created, and then we all sought to have experience to grow and evolve our soul, to experience as much as we could, and then to bring all of those experiences back to God. And so the souls all come from the same center of God, or the creative energy force, which is God. And that can be very complex. So it can be a very complex thing to try to describe God. So keeping it simple, keeping it right there for that. Next week, we'll be back here with the Afterlife series at 10 o'clock. But the following week, I have a group reading at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. So I'm going to do it after the group reading. More than likely, it'll be about, I'll get back online with everybody and deal with that, but probably 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Sunday, November 12th. I do have a group reading next Sunday, but it's in the afternoon, so I can still do here in the morning. So I have to change the time on the last, because I just booked that group reading a couple of days ago for November 12th. So I want to let you know that the time will change. Most likely it will be at 2 p.m. on Sunday, November 12th, instead of at 10 a.m., which we're doing right now. And that's Pacific time, and it'll be back to Pacific Standard Time because we have a time change next week. So that's going to be fun, isn't it? We always kind of have to adjust to the energy of that. So head on over right now when we're done. Don't wait. Your computers are probably still up or your phones are still working. Head on over to YouTube. Just type in Leanne Thomas. Click on my little picture there and subscribe to my channel, and then you have access to knowing when all of the latest and new videos come out. They will be coming out regularly and often. Please let me know what you would like to learn about, and then I'll make videos about the things that you want to know. So comment here or go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and let me know what you would like to learn by leaving a post up on one of the videos that I have already up there. So I hope you're gonna take all of this in and just see what resonates with you. Let the rest go. We're all entitled to our beliefs and our experiences. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm just here to share what I know and have experienced myself. I thank you for being here, and until next Sunday, I send you peace and love, and I hope that you bring peace and love to others in your life. Walk with that every single day and see how it makes a difference in your everyday life. Anyway, lots of love, and until then, bye.